What if the hardest thing you'll ever face isn't the fall itself, but what you tell yourself while you're still on the ground? Most people think failure breaks them. But that's not what stops them from getting back up. What stops them is the story they start believing the moment they hit the floor. And that story? It's quiet. Convincing. And it starts with a single word. Tomorrow. If you've ever had a moment where everything you built suddenly collapsed, you know that feeling. The confusion. The disbelief. The question that loops in your head over and over, how did I get here? Maybe it was a job you lost. A relationship that ended. A goal you worked toward for years that just didn't happen the way you planned. And in that moment, you told yourself you'd figure it out. You'd recover. You'd rebuild. Just not today. Because today, you're tired. Today, you're processing. Today, you need time. Tomorrow, though. Tomorrow you'll start. There was a man named Daniel. He wasn't lazy. He wasn't careless. He was actually one of those people everyone assumed had it together. He had ambition. He had plans. He talked about the business he was going to start, the skills he was going to learn, the life he was going to build. But every time the moment came to act, something stopped him. Not fear, exactly. Not doubt. Just a feeling that today wasn't quite the right day. He'd tell himself he'd start tomorrow. When he had more clarity. When he felt more ready. When the timing felt perfect. And tomorrow always felt safer than today. So he waited. And the days turned into weeks. The weeks turned into months. And slowly, without him noticing, tomorrow became a place he lived in more than the present. At first, it didn't seem like a problem. Daniel still had time. He was still young enough. Still capable. Still had opportunities in front of him. But opportunities don't wait for perfect timing. A job opening came and went. He told himself the next one would be better. A friend invited him to collaborate on a project. He said he'd join when he had more bandwidth. A woman he liked smiled at him at a coffee shop. He thought he'd talk to her next time. But next time never came. Because tomorrow isn't a day on the calendar. It's a habit. A reflex. A way of protecting yourself from the risk of starting before you're sure. And the thing about tomorrow is, it doesn't feel like giving up. It feels responsible. It feels like planning. It feels like being smart about your energy and your choices. But here's what Daniel didn't realize. Every time he chose tomorrow, he wasn't just delaying action. He was reinforcing a belief. A belief that he wasn't ready yet. That he needed more time. That the right moment was always just out of reach. And the more he believed it, the harder it became to start. Before we dive deeper, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss any of our upcoming videos. One evening, Daniel sat alone in his apartment. He opened his laptop and scrolled through old notes. Ideas he'd written down years ago. Projects he swore he'd start. Goals he promised himself he'd achieve. And he realized something that made his chest feel heavy. He wasn't behind because life had been unfair. He wasn't behind because he lacked talent or opportunity. He was behind because he'd spent years preparing to start instead of just starting. He'd been waiting for confidence he'd never feel. Waiting for certainty that didn't exist. Waiting for a version of himself that could only be built through action, not through waiting. And in that moment, he understood. The fall hadn't broken him. What broke him was how long he stayed down, convincing himself he'd get up tomorrow. The truth is, life doesn't knock you down to destroy you. It knocks you down to see what you'll do next. And most people, they don't stay down because they can't get up. They stay down because getting up feels uncomfortable. It feels uncertain. It feels like stepping forward without knowing if the ground will hold. So they wait. They analyze. They plan. They tell themselves they'll move when they're ready. But readiness is a myth. You don't get ready and then act. You act, and then you become ready. The person you're waiting to become doesn't exist yet. That person is built through the decision to stand up, even when standing up feels too soon. And here's the hardest part. The fall you experienced, it already happened. You can't undo it. You can't go back and change the moment everything collapsed. But what you do next, that's still yours. You can stay where you are, replaying what went wrong, waiting for the pain to fade before you move. Or you can accept that the pain isn't going away until you start walking forward through it. Because pain doesn't leave because you wait it out. Pain leaves because you prove to yourself that you're capable of moving forward despite it. So let me ask you something. What are you waiting for? What version of yourself are you trying to become before you start? What moment are you hoping will arrive that will finally make you feel ready? Because if you're honest, you already know the answer. That moment isn't coming. The clarity you're looking for will only come after you start. The confidence you're waiting for will only come after you act. The strength you think you need will only come after you prove to yourself that you can stand back up. Tomorrow isn't a strategy. It's a delay disguised as wisdom. And every day you choose it, you reinforce the belief that you're not ready yet. Getting back up doesn't mean everything will work out. It doesn't mean you won't fall again. It doesn't erase what happened or guarantee success. But it does mean something more important than success. It means you refuse to let one fall define the rest of your life. It means you chose movement over safety, action over planning, progress over perfection. And that choice, that single decision to stand back up today instead of waiting for tomorrow, is the only thing that separates people who rebuild from people who stay broken. Life knocked you down. That part already happened. But what you do next, that decides everything. Not tomorrow. Not when you're ready. Not when it feels right. Today. Right now. This moment. That's where your next chapter starts. Not in the life you lost, but in the decision to stop waiting and start building again. If this story resonated with you, like this video so it reaches someone else who needs to hear it. Share it with someone who's been down too long. And subscribe for more stories that remind you who you're capable of becoming. Stand up. Your story isn't over yet.